Hey guys, and welcome to the Casio Watchers YouTube channel. Today we've got a bit of a different video for you than our usual showcase videos. We're going to be looking at the difference between a real Casio A168W and a fake Casio A168W. So the difference between a real and a counterfeit watch. Now, just to explain why I've ended up with a fake Casio. A couple of weeks ago, I was in the market to buy a 168 and I went on to eBay, a place where I'm quite happy to buy my Casios from. eBay or Amazon it tends to be. I typed in 168 on the search and lots of different options came up, but I was looking for a watch in particular that didn't have a stock photograph. I don't like buying from sellers that just have stock photographs. And I came across this watch here, this A168W, which is actually the fake version of this watch. And the person that was selling it, they had 100% feedback across, I think it was 125 feedback, so nothing to be alarmed about there. And I actually believe that that person had no idea that this was a fake Casio. When I purchased it, it was in this nifty little display bag with a cardboard sleeve that the watch was attached to. I actually made the biggest mistake you can make, and I'll hold my hands up and say that. I didn't pay enough attention to the pictures. I just saw that it was a good price, and I did something that I never normally do, and I just bought it there and then. I think I sent a best offer, and I ended up getting it for about £12 or something like that. Now, normally, I research my watches, I look at the pictures, I look at the description, but because of the price, and I just wanted to add this watch to my collection, I thought I'm just going to buy it there. It looks like it's a new watch, it's got the tags on, I'm happy enough to take it. So I picked that up. Now, since then, once it arrived and I realised it was a fake, I've been in contact with the eBay seller. They told me that they'd done some of the common checks on this watch to check that it was an original watch, and I wholeheartedly believe that they didn't know it was a fake when they sold it to me, and these things happen, and at the end of the day it was my fault for not looking. So today we're going to look at the comparison between the fake on the left here and the genuine 168 on the right here. So let's go straight into it. At face value, when you look at them like you can see them on the screen here, there's not that many glaringly obvious differences. But when you've got them right next to each other, one of the first things that you will notice, and something that when I went back and looked at the listing, this was obvious in the pictures, but again I didn't look at them properly, and that is the size of the digits on the display. This is the biggest giveaway, or one of the biggest giveaways. The Casio, the genuine Casio 168 digits, they're thin digits. They're a good size, they're in proportion to the screen. They're the same proportion as other Casios that are this smaller size, the smaller size watch and the smaller size screen. If you look over here, you can clearly see that the digits on the counterfeit model are much thicker. They're not only thicker, they're taller as well. One thing that I use as a rule of thumb on this genuine one is if you look at the number 6 here, and it's hard to see on the video, so I'll describe it to you. The top of the 6 barely touches the T on the word light on the display, whereas over here on the fake version, the number 6 goes above the T and almost touching the letter H there. So they are much bigger digits on the screen, and as a result of that, you have less gap at the top of the date and at the bottom of the digits. The genuine one has a nice amount of space around the date and around the digits at the bottom of the screen. So that's one real giveaway. The bigger digits are on the fake 168, and the genuine one has the much slimmer, more natural looking digits. So again, that's a real giveaway for you to keep an eye out if you're trying to buy one of these and you don't want to get, or you don't want to end up with a fake one like I have. I actually think it's pretty cool now that I've got a fake one and it's enabled me to do this video. So moving on. Next thing to look out for, and again, this is very tricky to see on the camera, so I'll try and bring this a little bit closer if I can. But if you look, when I bring it in, just down here, where my pencil is pointing to, there is a very, very tiny letter U, just in between the blue line and then the the metal of the case. Now that little tiny U there is actually missing completely on this fake version. However, some counterfeits will have a U, and I'm also going to refer to the classic Casio F91W. The fakes on the F91W, they have a U, but the U is thick, it's too big. The reason for that is these counterfeits, when they make them in the factories, they can't produce these real fine, tiny letter U's like the genuine Casio can. So on an F91W, you sometimes see a rather thick, disproportionately large letter U compared to the genuine one. And on my 168 here, we've got a tiny little letter U, and then on the fake one, there's not even a letter at all. It's just completely empty. It goes from the blue line to the black and then onto the metal case. So that's another thing to look out for, the missing letter U or an oversized letter U. Another thing I did notice the more I looked at the fake, and again, just at face value, there are very, very close similarities between the two. But you can see here the word illuminator. Now the word illuminator here is perfectly straight and parallel to all the other text and all the other lines on this display. But I noticed on the counterfeit model that the word illuminator slightly slopes downwards from left down to right as it goes across. So in other words, we've got less gap here between the writing and the screen than we have here. So again, that's pretty much a quality control thing. The real Casio, high quality, perfectly straight, perfectly parallel. The counterfeit model, the text isn't straight. And if you look at it really carefully as well, you can see that there are some slight print imperfections on the word illuminator and the word water resist. However, I've got to give this watch its due in some ways, this counterfeit. It is very similar across the rest of the print on the screen. So we've talked about the size of the digits being clearly different on this watch to the genuine one. We've talked about the lack of the small letter U on the screen down at the bottom here. One thing that was really, really unusual when I first took the fake out of its rather unusual mislabeled bag as well, it seems, I came to flick through the modes to see what the watch had to offer and just to test it out. Now, for some very, very odd reason, and again, I think it's because of the way the watch is put together, you have to use every ounce of strength in your body to press these buttons. I actually, from this angle, I don't think I can even properly press them. I'll try again. There we go. And the strap actually creaked as I pressed it. So I'm going to press it. You can see my fingers going white as I go through, and it's jumped there. There we go, back to time mode. I've had to put a lot of strength into those button pushes, and it's actually hurt my thumb. It's made an indent in my thumb to press those. So that was something that struck me as very odd when I first took this watch out, the difficulty I had just pressing the buttons. Whereas obviously the genuine Casio, if I just place my finger on gently, perfect, and I can flick through without having to injure myself to flick through the modes or to illuminate the watch. So on the counterfeit Casio, the buttons were incredibly hard to press, and obviously on this one, nice and smooth and easy as you would expect. So the other thing I did notice, and I'll take the watches off these cases, off these display units in a minute, just the feel of the watch didn't feel right. And when I put the fake one on my wrist, and I'm a huge fan of Casios with metal straps, it was really uncomfortable. I've got slim wrists anyway, so I had to adjust the strap, but once I got it on there, it was very, very uncomfortable. Whereas you might think they look very similar, and when I take them off this display in a minute, you'll get a chance to see the straps. This one is so much more comfortable. It's unbelievable the difference between the genuine one in terms of its comfort on the wrist compared to the fake one. So as you can see, we've talked about the face value of the watch and the differences there. We've talked about pressing the buttons. One thing I will mention as well, and I'm not going to press it because I don't think it'll work too well, but it's the Electroluminescence. Now again, both of the watches have Electroluminescence. On this one though, when I press it and take my finger off, the luminescence disappears. It only remains on the screen whilst you hold the illumination light here, which is what the genuine Casio will do. This counterfeit one here, for some strange reason, when you press it, not only is the light a different shade compared to the genuine one, the light also stays on for around 2 seconds. So again, that's another telltale sign. Usually, the genuine Casios, they do not stay on the electroluminescence on the 168. They go off when you take your finger away from it. However, on the fake version, you press the button and the light stays on. Now, for some people, that might be a bonus, but let's remember that this is not a genuine Casio. So you press the button and the light stays on for 2 seconds. So let's move on a little bit, and I'm going to take them off their stands now and move them out of the way. So lay that down. Okay, now if I bring them up to the camera, you can see very, very similar looking straps. But for some reason, the fake version, it's very cutting, it's really sharp around its sides, and when you've got it on the wrist, it really is quite painful to wear, dare I say. Whereas the genuine version, again from the side, they look almost identical. The genuine version has much smoother, better quality edges to the strap, hence why it's much more comfortable on the wrist. So if I pop them both open, very similar fastenings again, so very similar in the way that they are put together, but there are some key differences as we go through and look at the other parts of the watch. So first of all, let's go to this bit on the fake version. You can see it says Casio there, but it's almost as if it's been sort of etched into the metal. You can see when the light catches it, it's got this strange sort of scratching on the word Casio, whereas the genuine version over here on the right, it has a stamped Casio symbol. So real difference there. So on the whole, they look very similar. The same shape, the same strap, but the fake version has this etched Casio name printed onto it, and the genuine version has Casio stamped into the metal strap. Then we continue looking at it a little bit more closely. After doing some research on some of the other fake 168s and the genuine 168s, it was interesting to note. So again, I've got the genuine one in my hand here, and it says that it is made in China. You can see that there it says that. Then the adjustable buckle that you slide up and down by releasing this mechanism here to adjust it on your wrist, it also says, interestingly enough, stainless steel China. So in other words, this part of the watch matches with the back of the case. China and China. On the fake version, it says here that it's made in Malaysia. So nothing overly wrong with that. However, when we come down to the sliding buckle, it just says stainless steel. Now, if this was genuinely made in Malaysia and it was a genuine Casio, it should say Malaysia on here and then Malaysia under here, so that they tie in with each other. So that's something else to look out for. So let's continue. Oh, actually, before I forget, this is a very, very small difference. But if you own one of these watches or this style of watch, you'll know that in order to release this buckle, to be able to adjust it, you simply get a watch tool or even a fork from the kitchen. You pop one of the prongs in this gap here where the arrow is pointing to, and you pop it out. If you notice, the genuine one has a wider gap than the counterfeit version, and also there's a very clear arrow with the head pointing upwards to show where you need to put the tool and pop this up. On the counterfeit model, there's a sort of barely visible line that's showing you that you can put something in there, but it doesn't show you clearly where to put it and which direction to move it in to release that catch. So a difference there as well. Now, if we go and look carefully at the back of the watch, I just want to point out this to you. So on the genuine model, if you look where I'm moving my pencil at this point in time, along there, look at that, a perfectly straight, smooth edge at the bottom and the same again at the top. That's just the quality of the finish of the genuine Casio. Nice and smooth, straight line. However, on the counterfeit version, if you notice, and this is something that caught my eye when I first took it out of the packaging, along here, it's very jagged and bent, and in particular at the top. If you can just see the light catching that, very, very jagged. If you ran your finger across that, or it ran across your hand, it would cut your skin. So very, very unusual finish to the watch. In other words, it's not been finished properly. Jagged metal there and there compared to the real smooth, clean finish on the back of the case where the case meets the band on the genuine version. Now, something else to talk about. These two serial numbers on the watch band there, S532N, that and that, they match each other. They should always have those numbers. The counterfeit version, it's tried its best to replicate some numbers. They're not stamped in properly. They do match each other, but they don't match the code that it should be on this strap. So again, the fake version has tried to replicate the genuine version as best as it can, but it just hasn't got that finesse. It hasn't been able to recreate what it's trying to recreate. Now, those of you that look at the back of Casio watches, if you're sad enough to do that like I am, you'll notice that the way they always use these screws on the screw back cases, now you can see that the screw will allow two different types of screwdrivers to open it, and if you look very carefully, you can see that on each of the screws there is an indentation that runs right the way across the center, all the way across the entirety of the screw from top to bottom, if you want to refer it to as that. And you can see it there, and then on all the others. So you've got a smaller indent and then a full indent all the way across. And those screws are pretty flush with the case back on the genuine model. If we go back to the counterfeit model, you can see they have literally just used 4 normal screws. They have 2 indentations again, but they don't have that telltale sign of a smaller indentation and then one that runs all the way across, allowing you to use 2 different types of screwdrivers to open the case back. And also, if I turn it this way, they're not flush. They're not the proper screws for this type of case, and they stick up. And again, when I had this on my wrist, this was another reason why the watch was very uncomfortable compared to the genuine version, because those screws stick up way too much and they make it an uncomfortable watch to have on your wrist. So we've pretty much covered all the differences between the genuine on the right here and the fake on the left here, Casio A168W. To somebody who just glances at these watches, not too much of a difference, but once you get them in hand, you can feel the real difference in quality. You can see the real difference in quality when you have them and you look at them closely as well. And what's interesting is I always set my non-solar powered and non-multiband watches by my G-Shocks that have multiband 6, so they're always accurate to within the second until obviously they go plus or minus. This watch here is running on the correct time that is suggested by the G-Shocks I have with multiband 6. This watch on the left here was set to that time about 10, 12, maybe a little bit more days ago, and as you can see, we're running around about 15 seconds quicker already on the counterfeit model compared to the actual time that it is now of shooting this video that I took from my multiband 6 G-Shocks. So hopefully you've learned a little bit of something today from this video that's a bit different to what I normally do. If you're looking for a genuine one and you're going down the eBay route, first thing I would say is have a think about the listings that have the stock photographs. Why do they do that? Sometimes it's just because they sell a lot of items or a lot of watches and there's nothing wrong with it. So, but personally I try to avoid the stock photograph sellers. And if you go to a seller that has a real image up, don't do what I did and be casual and blasé about it and just jump right in. think about the things that I've shared with you in this video today, and look out for the larger display, or any anomalies in the alignment of the text, or even the small letter U that I mentioned. You can use that on the F91W as well when you're trying to find a genuine one of those. So hopefully you won't fall into any traps when trying to purchase this watch. If you own it or you're planning to buy one, let me know in the comments below. If you think you've got a fake one and my video today has helped you decide whether it is or it isn't, again, please let me know in the comments below. Remember to give the channel a subscribe, like the video, and also, as always, please come and check us out on the Casio Watchers Facebook group. Lots and lots of things going on there. We've nearly hit 1,000 members. Daily we get people sharing the watches they're wearing for that day, but we also get people sharing rare watches on there, customized watches, or at the moment we've started to have a few people starting to buy and sell some of their Casios on there. So please come and check us out. So again, thanks for watching this video that's been a little bit different to my normal showcase videos. Hopefully you've picked something up today. If you think there's something I've missed when looking for these counterfeit watches compared to the genuine ones, then please let me know. I'm always learning. I don't know everything there is to know about Casios at all, so please let me know if you think I've missed something, and hopefully I will see you all soon for the next video. So take care and see you soon.